Well, first of all, I want to congratulate, of course, our real stars here in the room, and that's Brandon, Carson, Carrie, and Shelby. I can't tell you how pleased and impressed I am with you kids, as well as a bunch of the others that I saw at the White House on Monday. And I think one of the reasons why I'm so impressed is because I'm also jealous. Because I'm an engineer as well. I'm an aerospace engineer, been in the business for about 30 years. And I can't tell you how much I would like to have been able to do this when I was in high school. I was struggling to figure out what I wanted to do as I grew up. I grew up in the space race in the 60s and, wanted to be an astronaut. But, not long after that, it kind of went down. And so I really struggled to figure out what I wanted. But if I had a real world design challenge, I really do think it would have been a much easier deal. Now, why are we involved, we the FAA involved in the Real World Design Challenge? I remember a little over a couple years ago, Dr. Coppola and Amy Corbett, the FAA's regional administrator up in New England, came down and asked to meet with me about an interesting venture. And I really didn't know what it was about, but they came in and they began pitching this idea, and it looked like they had practiced it and they were really pushing hard. And they got about halfway through it, and I said, look, forget it, I'm in. You can count me in, I'm going to do it. And we proceeded to arrange for about 40 or 50 engineers, I think, throughout. I head up an organization of about 7,500, and we have about 600 engineers, all kinds of engineers. And so we arranged for about 40 to join in. And the reasons why it became important to me why we need to do this is anyone who's in the engineering science field knows that we're in a bit of a national crisis. We really are. As we look out, Bobby Sturgill, my former boss, and I were chatting a little bit before the ceremony here. I mentioned, what did I say, 10, 15 years, and Bobby said actually earlier. We can't see the volume of scientists and engineers coming down what we call the pipeline that's needed to fill the jobs in the companies that build the aerospace products, the agencies like FAA and NASA that do either the regulatory or the research. And so it's going to be a challenge for this country. And I really fascinating to hear Jay mentioned some of those statistics about 10 engineers per attorney in Japan. And did I get that right? 10 engineers per attorney and 10 attorneys per engineer here in the United States. And while, as he said, and with all due respect to Mr. Sturgill, attorneys are necessary, but I don't know. In my view, I think engineering, as we look to the future, is probably going to be a little bit more necessary. Now, so one of the challenges we face in the country is President Obama on Monday, and I got to apologize, I don't remember the actual number that he said, but somehow we are ranked around 20th in the world, and if I'm off by 5 either way, how much? Was it about 25? It's about 20th somewhere in the world in our students' capabilities in math and science. And I find that distressing. We are the world leader in so many categories, both social, but technical as well, technological. And he made a commitment. I think he did say by the end of the decade he wants to be the top. And so I think the Real World Design Challenge is going to help us do that. So now what I want to do is, while I explain why we got involved with the Real World Design Challenge, I want to kind of share with you what I think are the great reasons to become an engineer. And while I'm sort of addressing it to our 4 stars here, I think all of us in the room should be aware of what I think really are the true benefits of being an engineer, and I am so proud to be one. First, let me start with an acknowledgement of maybe not one of the good things, and that is it's very much hard work in college. And so the 4 of you, when you get in there, I can assure you it's very difficult. And it's intended to be difficult because the things that you'd be working on require unwavering intelligence and hard work to be able to build a bridge or send a spaceship up in the sky or build an airplane or whatever. So it's a lot of hard work. However, there's a lot of fun involved in engineering. I grew up in Boston, and I went to school at Boston University, and relatively humble beginning. I couldn't live on campus, had to live at home, and had to work my way through college. I was making about $2 an hour. And when I graduated, almost overnight, I became an engineer for the Boeing company. And in that quick snap of a day or two, I became an engineer for Boeing, making $20,000 a year. And I can't tell you, it was startling for someone that I grew up. And so money's not everything, but it certainly helped quite a bit. I will tell you, because of, this is sort of the reverse of the problem we have with the lack of the engineers and scientists in the pipeline, that makes you more of a strong demand. And so you will, if you go through college, you will command what salary you want, and it'll be far more than almost any other colleague in university will be able to. So it's really great. But it's fun in that when I was an engineer for Boeing, 4 years after I got there, I was 25 years old, and I found myself actually flight testing, not as a pilot like my former boss, F-16 pilot, but I was an engineer, flight test engineer on Boeing airplanes as they were just built, and doing flight tests, doing stalls, doing all kinds of fairly dangerous maneuvers. And I would sit on that airplane at Edwards Air Force Base at 4 o'clock in the morning and wonder how I got here. And that is fun stuff, that you are working on things like that before anyone gets to see them. And it's challenging, but it's so rewarding. Another aspect that's even probably more profoundly rewarding, and I'm going to just use this as a personal experience, but I'm sure Jay Shin could come up with so many examples as well. I've been working with the FAA for the last 20 years, and I've been involved in an effort, small or large, I don't know, that was tasked with reducing the commercial aviation fatal accident rate by a five-fold decrease, which is about an 80% decrease from an already low level. And this was back in the mid to late 90s when this challenge was put forth to the community. And that means at that time there were fatal accidents, very unfortunate, lots of people, hundreds of people dying per accident. And we had to find some way to reduce that. And I'm so proud to say, especially, and I acknowledge my former boss's leadership as well, we managed to reduce that rate by 65%. But it's not just 65%. You know what that means? There are thousands of people today walking around in this country, thousands, that otherwise would not be here if not for the great efforts of the engineers, people who are working in the FAA, the industry, and Jay Shin's organization, NASA. That is what keeps engineers so valuable in this country and so rewarding. So I just would like you all to keep that in mind, that that's really what is great about being an engineer. I don't think as an attorney, Bobby, you can find equal amount of satisfaction perhaps, but and it really is. It's truly satisfying. And so my last words to you kids, please seriously consider engineering. It'll be a wonderful career, a wonderful life for you. I'm doing my part. My youngest boy is going to go to be an engineering student next year, and I just can't tell you enough how much it's been a great reward for me in my life. So again, thank you very much.